Hey guys, it's Chelsea from Cats in the Kitchen, and I'm here with my kids. This is
Eden. Oops. Sorry.
How old are you, Eden?
Almost 12.
Almost 20.
Daddy! Hi, I'm Kristen.
How old are you?
I'm 7.
I'm Grace, and I'm 16.
Going on 67.
So, we thought it would be fun to do a post on cookbooks for kids. There are so many changes going on with the school systems right now. Some are going to online learning. Some are going to do of what's the word I'm looking for?
Combination?
A combination of. Can we crop that out?
Maybe.
Can we start over?
Nope. Just talk, Chelsea.
And some are going to a combination of online school and school at home. But I've heard from many of my friends talking and considering homeschooling, which, as most of you probably know, and if you don't know, I have been homeschooling since she was 4 or 5. I don't know. When do you start kindergarten? That's when I started. 5, I guess, 6.
Yeah, something like that.
I don't remember. And so, while I don't consider myself an expert, I still have plenty to learn. It is something I feel pretty comfortable doing, and I would just want to encourage you in that direction too. So the idea of this post is, if you are thinking about homeschooling, or if you are having to supplement maybe with a few things that the school isn't offering, cooking at home and teaching your kids to cook is such a great life skill. And I think it's a life skill that a lot of kids today don't know how to do. Because we have a food blog, I think we're in a unique position that our kids are actively already brought into the cooking in our home, but that's not always the case. And so I think maybe doing a class of just one recipe a week, or maybe 2 a week if you're feeling super ambitious, is a great way to include the kids, do some bonding time, and then they're going to learn some life skills at the same time, because everyone has to eat. Am I right? And it better work. I mean, they better know how to do it when they move out on their own. So, and what my husband always says is, if you can read a recipe, you can make a recipe. So, we're just going to share some of the cookbooks that we like, and I don't know what to say now. So.
No, that's great. So, and I think it's important to point out too, I'll be the headless voice behind the camera, that even if you're not homeschooling, this is still something that could be of value, right? Even if your kids are going to school, or your school system has got their program figured out for this coming year, this is still something that could be of value. So why don't we talk about some of the cookbooks that you guys have? I think that Grace and Eden do most of the cooking from these cookbooks. Chelsea's done some. I've actually cooked some of these recipes from these cookbooks as well. They're not just for kids. They're great recipes. They've got a lot of flavor. And so we'll start with them. Christian, we'll get to you in a minute. You haven't cooked too much from the cookbooks.
Well, he cooks sausage.
That's true. He does cook sausage.
He's really good at it.
And he makes peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
And he is really good at looking for the ingredients, which also, if you're homeschooling, is a great way to help them learn their reading.
I actually think that's something that we did with Christian a lot, which was really interesting. We'd be like, okay, Christian, I need cumin. Yeah. And he'd be like, well, so as he was learning to read, he'd be like, that starts with a C, or that starts with a K. I'm like, nope, doesn't. It starts with a C. And then he'd go figure it out, right? Which is great. And so that was one of the ways that we kind of began to teach him to learn how to read. Okay. So, Eden, why don't we start with you? Hi. So, we've got a bunch of cookbooks here. Which ones of these cookbooks are your favorites, would you say? Just pull out a couple that you really like.
I really like this American Girl cooking cookbook.
Okay.
Made a lot of recipes from it, and it's really fun and cool. Then I really like baking, so I'd say this is another one.
And that's another American Girl cookbook?
Yes.
Okay. And I should be clear, none of this is sponsored, just for the record.
We did buy these at Williams-Sonoma, but they are also available on Amazon for, I will say, cheaper.
There you go.
Than Williams-Sonoma.
And then I really like the Disney Princess cookbook.
Disney Princess Cookbook. Oh, yeah, you love that one. You make a ton of recipes from that one.
Yep.
Okay.
Grace has too.
And the Disney Princess Cookbook, the recipes are aligned with a particular Disney character.
Yeah.
Not that it really has anything to do with it, but give me an example.
Sea turtle cupcakes are Ariel's.
Sea turtle cupcakes are Ariel's. Okay.
The
The
carrot
carrot
sticks are.
Aurora. They're
Oh.
Prince Philip, I think.
Yeah.
He likes carrots and hummus. Okay.
Or it might be his horse. I don't know.
And then this one is for Gus from Cinderella.
Oh, okay.
Gus's mac and cheeseburger.
And some of them make sense. Like I think there's a hummus recipe that is like Jasmine's or something,
There's
right?
a Bayou meatloaf for the
Oh, for,
Princess and the
Magic
Frog.
Carpet.
Yeah, yeah.
And like the recipes we've made out of this book, they are really good. It's not just like, oh, a silly
Kids recipe.
kids recipe. No, there's like some serious flavor in here and some serious skills that
Some of-
they learn.
Some of them are on the blog, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The hummus is on the blog.
The beast quiche.
The beast quiche is not on the blog, although it's really
no, but
good.
it's really delicious.
The original pancake recipe.
I don't know what quiche has to
Grace's
do with
Friday
this,
morning
but-
pancakes.
Oh, the Friday morning pancakes is originally from this?
Yeah.
That's on the blog.
Right. It's like the first recipe.
It actually is the first recipe.
Well, we're not gonna tell them how to make the recipe on this particular
They can
video.
go to the blog for that.
That's true. There it is. All right.
Upside down.
Very cool. And then okay, so that one you use a lot. What about the rest of the ones in the stack? Any other ones here that are favorites of yours?
Well, if I could just mention, this was the first one that they got, the cookbook for girls.
Oh,
and I
yeah.
believe your parents got this for the
They did.
girls
It
With
says
some-
inside.
with some matching aprons. I think they wrote something. Yeah, they wrote something inside, so it's personalized to them. And this was really helpful for Grace and I because how old were you when I brought you into the kitchen?
Not very old.
2.
7,
7, 8. So I had Grace originally start learning to cook from this book, and I think
Tired.
one of the things we did was you started making treats for the Awana,
Right.
for Awana snacks, and it was a way of serving, but you were also learning like
It was
some
fun.
simple
I
baking
always
skills.
loved signing up for snacks. I always beg you if we could sign up for snacks because I want to bake.
2.
And so we worked through this cookbook a lot. Some of the recipes are from this cookbook. I do mention that in the blog post that you can check out down below or up above, wherever the video is.
Wherever the
embedded.
video ends up in the post.
It's very confusing.
But this has been a really great book. I'm sure libraries have it, but it is on Amazon as well.
Okay.
I thought it was a really good first time cookbook for the kids.
And I'm sure we'll link to all these on Amazon, just because that's obviously some people only have Amazon, or you may not have all the stores near you. And yes, we are part of the Amazon affiliates program, so we get a penny if you buy a book through Amazon. It's not.
Thank you for supporting
Chelsea's
the
mad
kids.
money. She gets enough money to buy a latte once a month, which we actually do. Okay, Christian, which one of these is your favorite?
What do we got here?
The Big Fun Kids Cookbook.
And why do you like that one?
There are a lot of recipes in it that I really want to make.
Okay. So I can't see your face anywhere. There we go. Okay. So what do you do? What is your involvement? Since you don't do a ton of cooking just yet, although you're working on it, right?
Yeah.
What do you do with the cookbook? How do you get involved?
Well, sometimes in the cookbook I mark off the things that I want to make
Mm.
and look through it and also show mommy the ones that I want to make, like some of the fake out cakes and that kind of stuff.
So you can go in there and you can find something that's interesting to you, and then mommy can add it to the menu or pick up the ingredients, and then somebody will make it, maybe.
Or include you in the making process as well.
Those fries are pretty darn good.
They do look
Yeah.
good. We haven't made those yet.
Fry spaghetti.
Are there any recipes that you've made out of this cookbook that you really like?
Well, I do it like. Did we make something out of this?
Well, the Chinese sliders, what are they called?
Chinese
The
meatball sliders?
Yeah, the Chinese meatball sliders are actually, they were a recipe originally in the Food Network magazine for a kids section in the magazine like years and years and years ago.
those.
And then they compiled
Oh.
it into this book.
Eden made these the other day, right, Christian?
So
And those
Yeah.
were amazing. Although, Eden, you did not make the kale chips, right?
No, we
Out
don't
of
have
kale.
any kale.
How could we be out of kale? We live in Oregon.
almost never
I wanted to make something interesting for lunch, and so I made that.
And they were so good. It was kind of outrageous.
And she did all of it. I just helped with the grilling of it.
So, Christian, when you start cooking on your own, what's the first thing you want to make?
Well, I'll probably make something out of this cookbook. But if you ask me, I would probably
Which I just did.
make this.
The Chinese meatball sliders?
They're so good.
All right. Well, those are pretty easy to do. Those are on the blog, so we'll link to that so you guys can see those. Those are really good. All right. Now, Grace, you cook from honest to goodness big person cookbooks, obviously, at this point.
Yes.
You're not a tiny human anymore. So what is your favorite cookbook to cook from?
You
Out
can
of
pick these
those
two.
ones,
You can tell me one that's not, like, just in general, what's your favorite one, and then out of these ones, what's your favorite one?
well, I personally like in just all the general cookbooks that we own, I have enjoyed the Pioneer Woman cookbooks the most.
Okay.
Just because
I really like her.
I used to spend like hours on the Food Network app just watching all of her videos on how to make stuff. Mostly her desserts, but I always wanted to make those.
Well, Ree knows what she's doing.
But out of those, probably either the Kids Cookbook for Girls or the Disney Princess Cookbook, just because those are the ones that I've used the most.
Okay.
I've definitely made the most recipes out of this one, and I'm so glad we picked this up at Downtown Disney.
Oh, that's right. We were in Downtown Disney in LA when we picked that up. We're in Anaheim, yeah.
They were wandering through the whole store trying to figure out what it was they wanted to buy. And I found that one. I'm like, well, what about this? This is something that you will continue to use over and over again.
And we have multiple times, and we haven't made all the recipes, but we've made a lot.
A lot of them, yeah.
And then this one is like the first cookbook I started cooking out of, so it's special to me for that reason. I've made several recipes out of it, and I remember making several of the desserts with you, like the raspberry cheesecake.
Raspberry cheesecake, which is on the list to be rephotographed. There's the barbecue chicken skewers.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And the
Those are on the blog.
The apple
herb-
parfaits.
the apple parfaits, the urban cheeseburgers, which
Oh
are
my gosh,
so
those are- We need to
good.
make those again.
I will put them on the list.
Those are also on the blog.
Yep.
I'll have to remember to link to all of these things.
And then there's even the shortbread daddy likes.
Oh,
in this
right. Oh, the
Ooh, I
caramel.
do love that shortbread. It's like a take on Millionaire shortbread, basically.
Yeah,
So
it's
good.
really yummy.
Eden-
And we haven't even tried everything yet.
Something got your attention and you're a smoothie. Eden was over here while she knew the camera wasn't on her, reading through the smoothie cookbook. What'd you find?
Paper straws.
Oh, no.
Eden is our little environmentalist.
Yeah. So I think that the moral of the story, if you will, when it comes to these cookbooks is there are a lot of cookbooks that are actually designed and written for kids now. I don't know if it's always been that way or if that's a relatively recent development, but there are a lot of cookbooks and a lot of really good cookbooks where it's like the kids can make the food, but you as parents will really actually enjoy eating the food. And then two, it's just really educational. You learn a lot. You learn how to read. You learn how to do whatever. You also learn how to, I'm going to go to Grace for this one, learn how to add and subtract and multiply fractions.
Yes.
It drives Grace crazy how we're always like, okay, well, we're going to do, instead of just doubling this recipe, we need to do it
Oh my
2
God.
1/4 times.
No, you'll like take a recipe and then you'll have something and then like triple another part of the recipe, and it drives me nuts.
But like, there's too much of the sauce, and so we're gonna do half of the sauce, but we're gonna triple the burgers.
Sauce.
All right. Any other thoughts about these cookbooks?
I was gonna say something that I forgot.
Well, I was gonna
Thanks for
say,
that.
I know these ones have difficulty levels on them,
Oh, that's cool.
so
She's pointing at the Disney Princess cookbook.
they'll have like tiaras on top of them. Like this one has 1 tiara, which means it's like the easiest recipe to make.
Oh, okay. So if you're like newer, you can kind of look at it. Like when
Right.
Eden was first picking this stuff up, she could look at it and go, "That's a 1 tiara recipe. I can probably handle that."
This one also, sorry, Eden. The cookbook for girls, it's got step-by-step pictures and
Oh,
kind
that's
of,
great.
instruments you might need and things to be aware of, like
And exclamation points on things like a heat and stuff.
right.
Things to be careful of. Maybe
Things
call an
you may
adult.
need an adult for.
That makes sense. What were you gonna say, Eden? You don't know? Okay. You and your mother. Good at that.
I don't know, but
You remember? Tell me.
I think the first recipe that I made from this one, let's see, where was it? I made it for Mother's Day. It was
Yes,
4 crowns.
Yeah, those were so
4
good.
crowns.
So
You tackled a 4 crown recipe for your first one.
Her first recipe. I remember.
Is that for Merida?
Yep.
That's for Merida.
Josh,
Yeah.
that was for the Mother's Day brunch at church.
Oh.
Scrumptious Scottish scones.
And I
Say that
also
3 times fast.
remember what I was going to say.
Yay.
Something like this is a really good way to figure out what your kids' interests are Eden has mentioned she loves baking. Specifically, she loves cupcakes. And if your daughter loves cupcakes too, you might want to also check
Or
out the
son.
series, the Cupcake Diaries
Yes.
series. Eden really, really loves that series. It's like, you know, not true stories. I don't know if that's nonfiction or fiction, but whatever.
It's
Fiction.
I can never keep them straight.
Fiction.
It's true. She can't.
But they're just like little stories of like girlfriends, and there's always like a recipe in them or something. But one of the interests the girls had earlier this year was to make macarons, which, like, that's not daunting at all. But I went online at the very beginning of like when COVID hit and we were all stuck inside our houses, and I bought a macaron kit and a macaron cookbook. And the girls have made them 2 or 3 times, and while they have not
Mastered
made
them.
they have not mastered them.
They're so
They have
hard.
tasted so amazing, and I just like
I agree. The filling on the last one was really good.
really, really good. But I think more than anything else, it teaches them to step outside of their comfort zone and be brave in the kitchen and try something new and different that they haven't done before, but it's something they really enjoy eating on their own. So
I like it.
I just think that's really cool.
Okay. All right. Any closing thoughts?
Cooking is for everyone.
Christian's ready to start cooking. We're actually going to make some food tonight. We're going to make, Chelsea has a bunch of French.
No, it's Italian.
Oh,
themed.
Italian. I'm sorry. Italian recipes she wants to try.
Italian themed meal.
And then we're going to smoke blackberries and make what, Christian?
Popsicles.
We're going to make smoked blackberry popsicles on the Traeger. How you like that? Barbecuing popsicles.
And then we're gonna have them tomorrow.
And then there's some peanut butter tiramisu in the fridge. See all the good things that can happen when you start cooking as a family?
I want to make this smoothie.
I will
The
say.
downside being you have to wait for your food to be photographed before you can eat it.
You usually end up eating lukewarm or warm food instead of hot food.
Like, this
But it's
tasted
okay.
really good 10
Or
minutes
hot
ago.
food,
This-
depending on what it is.
Why doesn't my food look like the food in that picture you just took?
It's,
All
And
right.
then the person who always gets the pretty plate.
Yes, you get the photography plate, which is usually your mother.
Yep.
All right, guys. Thank you for sharing your thoughts on these cookbooks.
I want to make this one.
Happy cooking.